So one thing Caitlyn Clark is really good at is blocking out all the noise around her. Obviously, she's been a topic of discussion from Iowa into the WNBA basically every day, even in the offseason. But despite not hearing all that noise, there is one thing that's been a consistent theme for her. I've brought this up in the WNBA CBA negotiations regarding wanting the WNBA to be a dream place for young girls to want to play. But Caitlyn Clark has also taken on the role of role model very willingly. Famously, Charles Barkley had that commercial about not being a role model, and it depends on the athlete that you're talking to, but clearly it is a position and something that Clark takes seriously. Why she goes out of her way to sign autographs, and why she said it over and over again that she wants to inspire young girls, young boys as well by what she does on the basketball court and how she conducts herself and everything else. And there was more evidence of that recently. She was on a golf course, but not just any golf course. These photos shared by a young lady who was on the golf course with Clark and wrote, "What a moment to get to hang out at the golf course with my favorite basketball player. She's as nice and humble as you can be. Hopefully one day we'll be playing with you." And you see, obviously, Caitlyn there on that golf course. And there wasn't the only post about it. There was another account, I'm assuming her father, but he posted about it as well, that Caitlyn and had herself a day. Brandon, with the same photo, played Grove, I don't know how it's said, and met the best female hooper in the game. That Grove golf course is Michael Jordan's golf course, which is apparently invite only, exclusive, all those things. And you could see it looks pretty swanky right here. And it's in Florida. And, it's, like I said, Michael Jordan. I don't know if he does the invites himself or, he delegates that. But nonetheless, there's an association with Michael Jordan from being on that golf course, which is going to want to have people see a CCMJ photo op, which would break the internet. You gotten CC and LeBron James and CC and Taylor Swift. Now, I don't know how it would go with MJ because Caitlyn has said that LeBron is her GOAT. I don't know if that might rub Michael Jordan the wrong way. Very competitive guy. Those are the traits that are shared generally between those GOATs, right? That competitive instinct and the way that they're wired. I remember when Jordan was doing the NBA on NBC interview the other day, and they were talking about load management, and people made comparisons to what Caitlyn Clark said about not wanting to be on a minutes limit. Now, load management in the NBA, I mean, today the game is played at such a more explosive, the more square foot of the court is used. You have to get out to the perimeter and switch and do all this stuff that you didn't have to do back in the day when you were bringing it across half court and dumping it into the block. I hate the idea of load management. I hate I hate it as a theory, record label, and crew, but it's a little more complex than simply whether, guys are quitting or not, or taking the night off or not. But I digress. Those players are wired that way. And Caitlyn Clark has received comparisons to a golfer before, Tiger Woods, for the way that she has changed her sport. And of course, to Michael Jordan for the impact that she's had on a league. I always say Bird and Magic sort of ran so Michael Jordan could fly. And Michael Jordan completely reinvented what the NBA is. And in many ways, Caitlyn Clark has done that in the WNBA. And even the injured second season, people have drawn the parallels to MJ as well. And he was able to make it back for the playoffs that year, I believe. Unfortunately, Caitlyn wasn't. But there have been some parallels. So any sort of linking on the links between Caitlyn Clark and Michael Jordan would be a huge moment. But nonetheless, a young girl got a chance to meet up with CC. And she also did recently talk about the women that inspired her as well, doing this through a piece with Glamour, I believe, Lily and Glamour. And here's a little bit of what Caitlyn had to say there.
I feel like my mom has always kind of been my rock. The first person I called when I got hurt this year was my mom. I'm can you fly here and cook me a meal and just spend time with me? And that is just the person that makes you feel safe. And I probably took that for granted as a kid, but my mom always made the best meals. I think it's important to take time for yourself. And I think also, like, when I do have free time, one of my escapes is like cooking a healthy meal for myself, whether that's, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Like, I really do enjoy that. Just putting on music and making a home cooked meal. And I think that's because it feels like a safe place for myself, because that's kind of what I grew up on. Coach Blitter has had a great impact on my life. We've been able to stay in close contact over the course of my career now. Obviously, I've been away for 2 years and she has now since retired. But I think like one thing that was probably super impactful on myself and all of my teammates is we always had like a breast cancer game or a cancer game, and she would always bring in cancer survivors that got to kind of tell their story, but also like the impact our team had on people and how much joy we could bring to them, because those people were huge Iowa women's basketball fans, and them getting to spend a day with us like meant the world to them. So I think it put like great perspective, not only on, basketball, but like what we get to do for other people. Maya Moore was definitely my favorite basketball player growing up, male or female. Getting to meet her and watch her play in a game for the first time is probably one of the greatest memories of my childhood, truly. And when Maya Moore did come and watch me at Iowa, it was a surprise. She was sitting courtside, and just to have somebody you grew up wanting to be like, take time out of their day to come and support you. And she was inducted to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and like the way she talked about like team culture and how much that meant to her, and being a team player and how impactful that can be on your life is so true. And being on teams that have been really good, like, how true that is and how much that meant to her and throughout the course of her career. Like, that's just an easy person to be able to cheer for.
So, you bring that full circle, and you understand where Caitlyn Clark wants to make an impact on the girls coming up, like Maya Moore did for her. And then to bring it even more full circle back to the Michael Jordan moment. Michael Jordan did say in the load management thing that there are people that pay, to watch him play. They pay their hard-earned money, or they did pay their hard-earned money to watch him play. You knew the Chicago Bulls were in town. Michael Jordan was going to be in town. You bought a ticket to see MJ. And that is something that Caitlyn Clark has said as well, like that understanding, that knowledge. Uncle Ben once told Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And while Clark seems to have a gift of being able to ignore the nonsense and properly dismiss that, she also does seem to have a firm grasp on her responsibility, that's up to her how she chooses, but she does seem to view it as a responsibility to show up for the fans, to come through for the fans, and to take time for the fans. And she did with that lucky fan who happens to get an invite to Michael Jordan's she's probably doing okay. Might have made her day, but it seems like her days are pretty good, and she's got some good days ahead of her as well.